You staying in your home country is causing you to miss out on opportunities in life from a personal perspective, from a professional perspective, and even from a financial perspective. And in this video, using my own experience, I'm going to tell you what you're missing out on. Let's get right into it. If you're new here, my name is Jonny. I'm originally from the UK, but I've been living and working in Spain for the past 5 years. On this channel, I talk a lot about life here, living abroad, building wealth, investing and saving money, and my travel experiences as well. All right, so about 10 years ago, almost to the day actually, was my first experience of living abroad. I was at university, and back in my first year, I remember we sat through a lecture where they were telling us about studying abroad. No intention really at the start, had no idea about it, sat through the lecture. I distinctly remember the lady who gave the lecture basically saying, that not that I was at a bad university, but you can go to better universities through the partnerships that we have with other schools abroad. And on that itself, I was kind of sold. I was like, all right, cool. And so during second semester of second year, or sophomore year for the Americans watching, or during my sandwich year, like a year between second and final year in the UK, junior year for the Americans watching, I had the opportunity to go to, number of different universities. And so I ended up going abroad and studying in France. I got accepted, so I'll do my semester abroad, have the experience, and that'll be it, right? Well, lo and behold, a few years later, which would have been 7 years ago from today, not today, but like a few months ago, I left the UK for good. I packed my bags, moved to France, and I haven't been back to the UK permanently since. And here I am today, living in Spain. And so I was actually thinking about it, like if I hadn't done that semester abroad, or had I not permanently moved abroad like I have today, like what would my life look like? And I think there would be some similar aspects, but there'll also be a lot of differences, a lot of experiences and things that I've been able to do since I've lived abroad, and the direction that my life has taken me has been thanks to the fact that I moved abroad in the first place. So what would have been similar? Well, those of you that watch the channel know me a little bit. I'm a finance guy. I probably would have still been working in finance, to be honest, somewhere in the UK. I'm someone who takes personal finance seriously as well, as you know. So almost certainly I would have still been serious about saving, learn about investing in one way or another. Would have been able to take advantage of an ISA, having stayed in the UK. And I think I still would have traveled, to some degree, probably to like the popular UK holiday destinations, but further afield, is questionable. So those are kind of the similar aspects. And, even with those three things, someone living that kind of life, you could look at them and say, they're doing pretty good for themselves. Like that's a decent life to live in that respect. But with everything I'm about to tell you now that I've been able to do from living abroad, it's a massive opportunity cost staying in your home country sometimes and not going further afield. So let me tell you some of these things. So first of all, I became multilingual from living abroad. I mean, I learned, French and Spanish at school, but like school level in these languages. Like now, having lived in both those countries, I'm pretty fluent in both languages. And not only that, like I've learned other languages as well along the way to varying degrees. I'm learning new languages as we speak. It's something I always enjoyed, but it wasn't really, but like the culture in the UK, I don't think really promotes multilingualism in that respect. So probably I would have just, stayed in the UK, speaking English, probably wouldn't have had the opportunity nor the will to learn another language had I stayed in the UK. And learning another language, like the doors that opens for you are incredible, from, employment opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise had, to visiting countries, and not only visiting them, but being able to have a full immersive experience and fully understand and appreciate the culture in those countries as well. As I say, like employment opportunities, like the fact that someone speaks another language can be incredibly valuable to an employer. It can open you up for new roles, new positions that require a language, or even if it doesn't require a language and a language is advantageous, an employer might see that, they may be willing to give you a premium based on your language speaking ability. So I'm definitely grateful for being able to learn other languages, and I totally appreciate like the doors that it's opened up for me, not just from like a travel and work perspective, but also from like on a personal level, like, beyond professional connections that I've made thanks to being able to speak another language. That can also be very valuable. I've met, lifelong friends from traveling, friends that I probably wouldn't have otherwise made, or maybe wouldn't have developed friendships on such a deep level had I not taken the time to invest in learning the language. I met my wife abroad as well, and I'm sure the fact that, I speak Spanish as well is something that she found very valuable. Being able not only to communicate with her, understand her in her native language, but also communicate with her family. So being able to speak Spanish, has done that for me. It's found me a wife in a sense. Now, outside the language aspect of things, living abroad, living in different countries, you see a different way of doing things and different cultures, obviously. Cultures where the done thing is perhaps slightly different or significantly different from what you used to back in your home country. The people who probably notice this the most, are US citizens or people who've grown up, lived in the US. And that has shaped their mentality, their mindset. They then come to Europe and see a much different mentality when it comes to the likes of work-life balance and the importance of, friendships, family, social activities, all that kind of stuff. Things like new food, new meals, dishes that you don't have back in your home country, different times of eating, different, customs when it comes to food. Combining those last two, like your work-life balance, what you eat, your, how active you are, for example, combining that together, that can have a big impact on your overall physical, mental well-being and overall health and fitness. I grew up playing competitive basketball, so, I was always pretty active. But, I didn't have the best diet in the UK. It's still not an amazing diet, what I have today, but it's a lot more diverse. And I feel a lot more good about what I eat. And I feel quite healthy overall compared to what I maybe would have stayed eating had I stayed living in the UK. Another thing that living abroad has done for me is it's given me a sense of adventure. As I say, before, when I was in the UK, I didn't travel too much. I'd been to Spain a lot on holiday. So probably I would have just stayed in the mindset, as I say, of going to, popular holiday destinations just for a break away from the wet and the cold weather that there is in the UK. But thanks to living abroad and having, a much bigger sense of adventure, I've visited countries that I never would have ever considered visiting, or maybe would have never got the chance to see had I not traveled abroad in the first place. Like places like Georgia, like Venezuela, like the Caribbean island of Guadeloupe, French overseas territory, like Bulgaria, like Romania, like Albania maybe. These are all fascinating places where I had a great time. But, had you asked me living in the UK, not really traveled, not really, had exposure to other cultures like that, probably wouldn't have taken an interest in these places. Would have found it much harder to experience those places and try to get the authentic experience out of them. And so now, beyond just looking forward to the next getaway and chance to go on holiday, it's more about, where in the world would I like to go and visit? Where in the world would I like to experience? And I don't feel like, it's a scary experience. It's exciting. And I look forward to it. And I try and really appreciate the culture of wherever I go. And the last thing that came to my mind as to what I maybe wouldn't have had the chance to do is some of the financial opportunities that I've had, not necessarily talking about employment here, but investments and ways to make money that I probably wouldn't have otherwise discovered had I stayed back in my own country. I've talked about this on the channel before, my storage unit investments here in Spain. Storage units have become very popular over the past couple of years, and they provide a very good return on investment. In the UK, there's obviously self-storage spaces, but maybe it's the fact that I wasn't in the country that I didn't know about it or wasn't so aware of it. But it's not commonly talked about in UK investing spaces, especially when it comes to property. But in Spain, I think it is a little bit more talked about, and it's more accessible, and you still get a pretty good return on your investment for it. So having discovered that, I made some investments myself. One is doing really well. One has been not so good, let's say. But still, just discovering that as a way of making money as an investment, it's something that I wouldn't have had I not taken the step to move abroad. Also YouTube, I'd done YouTube back in the UK. I knew about it. I knew how to make money on it. But I didn't really start making money or have a concept for a channel until I moved abroad. And, when I realized that some of the experiences I was having as, a British national living abroad in Spain were very unique and personal to me. But at the same time, that there were other people out there looking for that information who couldn't necessarily find it in the most accessible way. And so me being able to share that from my experience with my knowledge meant that I was able to become monetized on YouTube. And it's meant that Millennials Money, this channel, keeps helping people, keeps growing. And I'm able to continue to share different experiences that I've had whilst living abroad. So when you think about what my life probably would have been that I described in the UK, comparing that to the life that I have today, where I've described all of these positive experiences that I've had, you know, I would have missed out on a whole lot of experiences in life. Not to say that I wouldn't have been happy with my life in the UK, not to say that everyone has to do this. You know, everyone is entitled to live life the way they want, and that's perfectly fine. But, you know, just from my personal perspective, like, living abroad has been one of the best things I've done. It's brought some of the best experiences, some of the best people I have in my life, and there's no way that anyone could ever tell me otherwise. And every time someone asks me about whether they should study abroad, whether they should try and take a job opportunity overseas, whether they should try living in this place or that place overseas for a few months, for a period of time, I always just tell them do it. Like, there's nothing more to it, just do it. Because the worst that can happen is things don't work out and you go back to your old life back in your home country and nothing's lost. But if things turn out well, just the possibilities are endless. You know, the good things that can come your way from a good move abroad, you know, just look at my list. Imagine what it could be in your case. And so everything I've talked about up to this point in the video, guys, there's loads of videos on the channel that you can watch where I talk more about them, and there'll be future videos as well where I talk about it some more. But I do want to share more about my experience in depth and in detail. And with that, I'm really excited to announce, guys, that I'm working on a global financial freedom course where I do all that. Because if after watching this video you want to know how the lessons and learnings that I've had translate into your situation and help you think beyond your home country, then this course will give you the tools to be able to do that. If I'm looking at how to invest internationally into foreign stocks, ETFs, index funds, foreign property, diversifying your banking globally outside of your home country, diversifying your income streams, making money online, accessing a global customer base, as well as, of course, looking at how to move abroad, where to move abroad, and where is the right place for you, as well as important considerations of how to make that move successful and consider things like taxes and how to optimize them, whether that's in your home country or moving abroad. By the end of the course, you'll have an action plan with steps that you can take to diversify and build wealth globally and create your own financial and travel freedom. So if that does sound like something you'd be interested in, then check out the link in the video description and join the waiting list for the course, which is expected to be released in the first half of this year, and you'll get updates as to when it's ready. I'm really excited to share this with you guys, and I hope it will bring you value, the tools that you need, and the knowledge to be able to live your best life and live life to the full. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, found it interesting. Leave a comment and let me know about some of the things you've learned, some of the experiences you've had the chance to have from living, studying, or working abroad. And if you like this video and you want to see some of those travels and some of the experiences I've had, then be sure to check out these videos here. Also, I'm making vlog style videos like this a few times a month, exclusively for my members, where you'll get to see a little bit of behind the scenes of Millennials with Money and some of the things that go on in my daily life. So if you're interested in seeing them, then be sure to check out the membership offers for the channel as well. So next time, I'll see you on the next one, and let's get this money.